What's up guys, Cooper, and in this video, I wanna give you guys a more in-depth breakdown of Holding Back Tears, which is a short film music video I shot recently for Mellow Music. Before I start though, I wanna give a big shout out to Matt Workman over at Cinematography Database for inspiring me to kind of use this format to break down my cinematography. He breaks down a lot of different music videos and films, and he does an incredible job. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to use a similar format to break down my own work. It's a pretty easy, simple way for me to show you guys my process. So here's a quick BTS shot, just styling exposure real quick. This is the Small HD 702 OLED monitor. This is Ralph right here, Dan, who's second AC on this particular shoot, and Solo right here, who was co-directing on this shoot. And yeah, just a quick little BTS of that. Dan standing by, ready with another ND, just in case I need to swap it. But yeah, right here you can see I'm using false color to dial in exposure. And yeah, just a cool little BTS shot. Shout out to Max McBride for all these great BTS photos. My first AC Ralph right here, he's using the Red Rock remote follow focus. Got a blue shaped battery. Got a wooden camera top handle right here. Got the Teradek 500 right there. And yeah, just a cool little BTS shot. Also, if you're wondering why I'm using the 702 OLED in this particular daytime exterior instead of the 702 high bright, it's because it was overcast. I wasn't having an issue seeing my image. And if I'm not having trouble seeing my image, I'm always going to choose the more color accurate monitor. You can tell clearly we're seeing the monitor fine. And so that's why I chose the OLED over the 702 high bright in this particular situation. Once again, using false color. Beautiful monitor. So yeah, I chose the OLED over the 702 high bright for this particular exterior because it was overcast. Here's another quick BTS shot. Once again, it rained on this entire shoot. Super crazy to deal with. So the camera is all bagged up. Not the prettiest, but you know, it works out. We got a little clothespin right here. It's clamped onto something, probably like a Naga arm or something like that. Small HD 502 monitor right here. Dan, my second AC, he's holding this umbrella right over me. Just adding just another layer of security. They bagged it up pretty great. No issues there. But yeah, just a cool little BTS shot. This is my first AC, Ralph. And he's just pulling focus right here off the Small HD 702. That's this monitor right here. Really great monitor. He's pulling focus from it. We've got the Teradek right here. So yeah, just a cool little BTS shot of him pulling focus. So in this scene right here, we see our main character, and he's just in a lot of pain. You know, he just lost a friend. He's not in a good headspace at all. And so though it's a daytime interior, I still wanted to feel really moody, really low key. And because of that, we didn't use any other lights other than the ambient we were getting from a window. We had a window, just had a frame, camera left, and we see these windows back here. And those are the only sources of light in the room. So we've got window 1, window 2, and our key, which is window 3, right out of frame. And then to finish off the look, we've got a black V-flat that's right out of frame right here. All these walls are beige, and so without this V-flat right here, window number 1 is shooting all this light this way, and the beige would have kicked back light on our subject's face right here. And so the black V-flat that we see right here is cutting that. And that's what gives us that really stark contrast that we see right here. He's not in a good headspace, you know, he's not feeling bright and bubbly at all. And so the V-flat was really important to complete the look. So this is a really simple look. You know, we see the main character's mom, and she's just hanging on the porch waiting for his son to show up. And all the props and the practical that we see in the background, all this stuff was built into the scene. So we see a box fan right here. You know, mom's just kind of cooling off. It's summer, and so the box fan's a great prop. And then in the deep background, we see this little practical right here. And the practical is really nice because it adds some color contrast between you know, the twilight kind of blue that we're getting from the exterior that we see right here. And that just adds a nice pop of color contrast. Just a really cool look. In terms of lighting her, it was just all available light with some black right out of frame. So we got some black right over here. And that's it. Pretty simple look to dial in. Nice kind of warm orangish bluish color palette that contrasts nicely. this look right here is a pretty simple nighttime interior. And our subject is looking at a TV, so we've got a television gag that we implement. We lit this entire scene only using 2 lights. We've got a source 4, which is high outside the window. You guys can see the blinds right here. And so that's shooting and giving us this orange tone on this side of our character's face, and also giving us this pattern on the wall. So it gives us some really nice breakup in the scene. So that's a source 4 outside the window. And the other light we use is a 1x1 that's at the subject's eye line off camera right here. And it's giving the blue in the scene. So it's giving us some nice 3/4. And I've got one of my grips on the dimmer, and he's going up and down on the dimmer to give us the TV effect. It had a 45-degree grid, and so it's pretty concentrated. You can see how it pretty much stays 3/4 on our subject. So yeah, nice look, pretty simple. And we got some nice contrasting colors. I think I had some CTO and some CTS to the source 4 to give us this nice orange. And then I think I added a 1/4 CTB on this 3/4 front TV gag light on the 1x1. So in this look right here, we see a nighttime interior. And this is actually one of the easiest scenes to light in this entire film. All of the lighting is what you see right here, which is this IKEA lamp. I auditioned several different bulbs until we found the one that fit. But yeah, so we've got this IKEA lamp that's keying our subject right here. We do have 2 black V-flats, I should mention that. So we got a black V-flat over here on this side out of frame, which is giving us the contrast fill side. And then we've got another black V-flat right here, which is just controlling spill. And so without that, you know, light would be shooting around everywhere. And I wanted some nice fall off on the background. You can see how it trails off nicely into the background. It just doesn't feel flat, you know, it's 3-dimensional, and that comes from the negative fill. And so yeah, pretty simple look. Kind of a thing I was going back and forth on was whether or not I should light out here, you know, to give some detail out there. But just because of, you know, in the story, right now he's looking at his daughter, and so we see an eye light, you know, she means the world to him, and, you know, she provides the light in his life. That's kind of the visual language that I wanted to push. And out here just represents the darkness that he's kind of stepping away from in this part of the story. Stepping away from the temptation to get revenge on the guy who just killed his friend. And so I decided to keep it dark because of that reason. Once again, in this entire film, I wanted to take a less is more approach with the cinematography. And, you know, it's amazing what you can do with one IKEA lamp and some negative fill. You don't really need much in scenes like this. If you try to add too much, your scene's just gonna be contaminated, it's gonna be flat. In terms of the camera specs for the scene, I think it's worth mentioning that with the red Scarlet-W, I chose the low light OOPF, and the camera was rated at ISO 800. The bulb for this practical right here was at 3200, but I had the camera rated at 4500 Kelvin. And the reason I did that is because it's gonna make your scene look a little bit warmer. You know, this is his daughter's room. You know, when I think of his relationship with his daughter, it's comfort, it's more warm. A lot of the tones in this piece are more cold and gritty. But it was important to, you know, with the visual language to show that this was a place of comfort, you know, family, you know, them, you know, his father and daughter. And so it made more sense to go a little bit warmer. And I think it really fit the look and visual language. This was another really fun look to dial in. It's a nighttime car interior, and I dialed this in using only 3 lights and modifiers. And so for our main key source right here, the motivation behind it was just the sodium vapor, you know, really orange type of look that you get, you know, in the city. And so you see it in garages, you see it in the streets. And so that was the motivation behind his key source right there. And that light was a 1x LED panel right off screen. So that's coming in right there. And with that, it's being flagged off. And so you notice that that source is hitting here. We see some spilling on the steering wheel. And we see a little bit here too. But notice how it's not on the back seat. It's absent on the back seat. And so that's being flagged off by a black V-flat. And so that's what's going on with our key source. And then you'll notice this blue coming in right here. You see a little bit on the steering wheel as well. And it's also providing him a little bit of a backlight right here. So just some nice contrasting colors, and that's another 1x1 LED. And I threw some different blue. I think I threw also an 1/8 gel to give it a little bit of a tealish tone. But that's at 5600. And then this 1x right here, just a ton of, you know, I forgot the combination of CTS and CTO that I used to get that particular tone, but basically you dial it into taste. You dial it in until it feels right. And then the last light we use is the arena light, shooting orange tone off this gate back here. You guys can see it, all that going on. And so once again, it's all about lighting and layers. And so on the background, on the deep back, we've got orange. On our mid background, we've got blue tone right there. And then we've got on our subject light, our key light, and also the foreground right here, and even right here, we've got that orange tone. And so I kind of look at it like a sandwich. You see what I'm saying? So we're sandwiching our colors. And so our bread, you know, we've got orange here, and in the middle, we got a little bit of blue to contrast. And so that's, you know, kind of a funny, goofy way of looking at it. It's just kind of sandwiching your colors on your plane. You see what I'm saying? In this frame, you can very, very clearly see our subject, and that's because we've got black over the car. And so that black is gonna cut all the reflections we're getting from the ceiling. So if you're wondering how are you able to see them so clear, and we didn't use a polarizer at all. This is just, you know, the super speed alone. And it's because we've got that black 8x flying right over the windshield. And so that's a little tip for you guys if you're wondering how to get unobstructed, you know, front mount shots if you're shooting car mount, or if you just want to get a nice medium shooting through glass. You've got to cut that top reflection. We did that using an 8x8. So here's a quick BTS of that shot. You could see the lights right here, both these 1x's, and then the arena right here in the deep background, it's lighting the gate. And then here's the 8x right here with no grommets. We had to kind of move quickly. We were burning the midnight oil, but yeah, we've got that 8x flying over to cut the reflections. So no reflections right there. If that wasn't there, we'd see all of this in the window, and that would obscure our subject. For this story, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to very clearly see the face of our subject, you know, to maximize his performance, maximize the emotions. Here's a little apple box I'm sitting on. I'm on shoulder rig for this shot. Yeah, so pretty cool little BTS shot that we got on the GoPro. So this is one of my favorite looks in the entire film. And we've got our main character right here and the man who killed his friend, and he's got a gun on him. And so it's a really, really intense interaction. They're both in silhouette. You can see right here, we got silhouette 1 and silhouette 2. This entire scene is 6 lights. We see this practical right here. No, that is not a quasar tube. That was already in the garage. And that's really the light that's fueling the silhouette we see right here. And so that's light number 1. We got a little fluorescent bulb right here that you guys can't see. It's kind of hidden by this beam, that shooting light. We see this pool light right here. So that's light number 2. We've got a quasar tube out of frame right here, and it's throwing some orange off this beam right here, and it's kind of spilling into the foreground right here. So that's light number 3. And then we got a light that's off camera right here, the arena light with tons of CTS and CTO, and it's shooting all this light that you see here, all the way to over here, illuminating this part of the gate. So that's light number 4. And then we've got a quasar tube out of frame here that's putting some orange right here on this beam, also some orange on the ceiling. So both this quasar tube and this quasar tube are putting all this orange in the foreground. So that's light number 5 right here. And then the last one is a little fluorescent tube that's out of frame under this beam that's shooting this, making this little pool of light. So it's 6 total lights that give us the entire look. And to complete the look, I've got a fog machine out of frame over here that's creating this little fog in the background. You guys can see it here, all throughout there. I like it. I like how it's hitting this fluorescent tube right there. But it's just adding some atmosphere to the background. You know, gives it that ominous type of feel. So that completes the look. And yeah, I'm just a really big fan of this look. We got a lot of really cool shapes happening with the ceiling right here. A lot of repeating shapes. Really cool texture. Yeah, really fun look to dial in. The biggest catalyst for this look is this fluorescent practical right here. That was built into this scene. It was already in the garage. Same thing with this one right here. There's one right here, you can't see it, but it's throwing some light on the ground right there. And this main practical right here, I love it because it's what's giving us the silhouette right here. So it's illuminating this wall, and we're seeing it kick some highlights on these pools of water. It was raining this entire shoot, and so it did us some good right here with these little puddles that you see these nice reflections on. But this entire look is really built around this one practical, which is this fluorescent tube. As far as the color palette, you guys can see it right here. You know, we're mixing a lot of different oranges, green, earthy tones, kind of tealish that we're getting from the practicals. I like the fact that this is a fluorescent that's kicking off this green right here. Because of the haze, it's kind of rendering blue right here, which, you know, throws some nice color contrast in. Really cool color palette. So in this look right here, we see our main character, and he's got a gun on the guy who killed his friend. Just a really, really intense moment. And with that, I wanted the colors to feel intense. And so we've got CTO, it's emulating like sodium vapor coming from this garage. And that's a quasar tube that's right off screen, and it's giving him this backlight right here. It's illuminating the gun, it's illuminating his arm right there. It's just intense, a really intense frame. The camera is pointing up at him, and this gives him power. That's what it's all about in this particular moment. You know, he's got a gun on this guy. He has the upper hand in this situation. You know, the guy's life was in his hands, and so that's why we shoot up. That's why we shoot up at him right here. And in terms of framing and stuff like that, in these particular moments, when you've got shapes like this, you guys can see, you know, the shapes on the ceiling. It's kind of an opening, and I always like to frame my subject in those if possible. And so he's on the third, and you know, I place him in this right here, and that's a better place for him, in my opinion, than if I would have placed him, say his head was right here and this beam is cutting off his head. I always like to place my subject if I can. Sometimes it depends on your background, but if you're able, that's just something to think about. Placing your subject, placing them in the frame where it makes sense. And so once again, we got a lot of orange in the background. You guys can see it spilling here. And that's all really coming from one quasar tube. And in terms of his key source, you know, in the wide you see the practical bulb that was already built in the garage. But to repurpose that, I've actually got a quasar tube rated at 5600 that's right off screen that's keying our subject. So you guys can see some bluish daylight right there. So that's what's going on with this look. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The biggest part about this look was shooting up at him and, you know, giving him that power, you know, with the visual language. Another thing you probably don't particularly notice, but you definitely do notice, is our subject's wardrobe. And that really adds to the look as well. He's wearing a burgundy hoodie. This guy wants revenge, you know, he wants payback on the guy who killed his friend. And once again, that just fuels the look. And the way the light is hitting the burgundy hoodie just makes the look even more intense. It's really important to make sure your subject's wardrobe makes sense with the story. And as cinematographers, we have say in that. When you're corresponding with wardrobe, with production design, when it comes to colors and what appears on screen, you've got to make sure it makes sense with the story. And this burgundy hoodie, for example, really made sense. And it fit his frame of mind, it fit the color palette, and the way, you know, this orange tone is hitting it makes it even more intense visually. And so that's just something worth noting. Here's a quick BTS photo. Right here is the wooden camera shoulder rig. I'm using the small HD OLED monitor. You see the Teradek right there, super speeds. And in the background, I've got my grip Dan, and he's holding a quasar tube. We didn't have a lot of time to shoot this scene, and so we were Hollywooding lights. And that's the great thing about quasar tubes, is the fact that you can hold them, they're cool to the touch, they're all LED, and they're really lightweight, and so that provide the backlight on the shot. That's just a quick little BTS shot for you guys. You can see the heavy orange sodium vapor type of look. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing with my eyes right there. I'm just gonna X that out. But yeah, pretty simple look. So here's the reversal of that shot. A couple things you notice right away. Extreme orange color palette. You see it everywhere. That's all coming from a quasar tube that's out of frame, just kind of 3/4 back. And that same quasar tube is providing a backlight on our subject right here. You can see it kind of wrapping around right here. And that's all coming from one quasar tube. It's on his arm right here, it's on his hand. For our subject's key light, it's just a quasar tube out of frame way over here that's giving us some color contrast between key side and fill side. So you see we got the orange here, and then more of a daylight blue here. And then we got this big old gun in the foreground right here, and that's also getting some light from this quasar tube right here, and that's spilling, you know, giving some highlights on the gun, giving some highlights on the hand. And so it's all about maximizing our lights and really, you know, kind of taking a less is more approach to light the entire scene, to dial in the whole look. And you notice that the camera angle is pointing down on our subject right here. And the reason why we do that is because he is in a position of disadvantage in the situation. He does not have the upper hand. It makes our subject feel very small, and it makes this gun right here feel that much bigger in the foreground. So where you place the camera has a really, really important impact on the visual language, what you're trying to tell the viewer about how these characters are feeling. So in this shot right here, we see the gunman who's just escaped, and obviously he's extremely stressed out about the situation. He's happy to be away from it, so there's a look of relief, there's a look of, damn, what just happened? You know, he got pistol whipped, and so he's not feeling too good about that either. And so I got some really cool colors happening here. The greenish tone that we're getting, once again, you know, that was just built in. So, you know, when I did a location scout, you know, I'm looking at all these colors, like how can we separate our subject into their own scene or look, you know? And with this particular look, it bounces between him, you know, kind of reflecting on the scene, and also our main character who's thinking about it in his car. And so I wanted their looks to be contrasting when they cut between each other in terms of their color palettes. The silhouette was a really important visual theme for this part of the film. And so, you know, you can see our subject silhouetted right here due to the intensity of this light right here illuminating the mid background, if you want to call it that. And then once again, just the arena, you know, shooting orange hue, you know, emulating a sodium vapor lamp in this deep background right here. And once again, it's all about layers and also shapes. I thought it'd be cool to keep, you know, the ground area of this black right here, once again, just to add some separation and depth. And you can also add, like, create shapes with light. So I was just kind of experimenting with that, and I'm really happy with how the look turned out. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and let me know if you guys like this format. It's definitely new, so I'm still kind of working out the kinks. The OG of this format, once again, is Matt Workman over at Cinematography Database. You can check out a link to his channel in the description below. Amazing content, just a ton of knowledge. I've learned so much from it. So once again, big shout out to him for the inspiration to do this. Let me know if you guys like it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.